Hi everyone, it's Gabby. Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Minute. I know it's been a while. There was a lot going on. But this week I'm going to be recording some new episodes. I'm starting a new series where I'm going to have some guests come on and kind of talk about any topic that they're really passionate about. So be sure that you subscribe. Also follow the Mindful Minute Instagram. It's at mindful.minute_ on Instagram. Couple things. The scheduling for this is going to be a little different. I'm going to start uploading podcast episodes for you every Wednesday. And so every Wednesday each week, and I will probably also do one every Monday. So just be sure to stay tuned for that. And so this episode is about boundaries. I feel like I've kind of touched on this topic here and there, but I haven't really fully gone into discussing this topic in, full detail. And so that's kind of why I figured it's important, and it's one of the things that I really would like to share with you all and talk about. So I feel as though boundaries are very important. It took me a really long time to set boundaries because I just never knew what that was. I just didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to just respect my own timing and respect my space and energy and peace. And so I feel like if there's other people, which I'm sure that there are people out there who feel the same way as I do, this is just kind of like a message I want to share with you first, is just that, I know that maybe it's hard because you feel as though you just need to basically cater to what other people need. And that's not a terrible thing. But I just think that when we do things like that, we automatically say, oh, well, I'm okay. I don't need to check in with myself. I don't need to, step away from this thing. I just need to be there for this person. I need to be there for these people in my life. I need to, and then when someone asks you, well, hey, how are you doing? Like, how you been? You just kind of put on a fake smile and you just say, no, I'm good. I'm fine. But deep down, you're not fine, because deep down, you are spreading yourself so thin. And so I wanted to talk about this one because honestly, you're a priority. And taking the time that you need for yourself to step away from people and anything that is taxing is really important. And I think that for me personally, it took a while because I just never knew what that was, I never knew that I could find so much peace in just setting boundaries. And it does sometimes sound very cliche when people are like, your energy is so different, but no, it's honestly so true. When you set boundaries and you kind of reevaluate, like, what am I doing that's currently making me feel, too stressed? Or what am I doing that's making, like, that's just too much for me to handle, So I wanted to talk about this because I know that a lot of people, especially with the pandemic and just being around people, whether you lived with family during the pandemic or even if you were alone and you were working and, going to school or whatever, it's like you were still being pulled in every which way to do this and to be there and to, and I think that I also learned even more during the pandemic what it meant to set even more boundaries, because yes, I did start to set some, but I wasn't very consistent with saying no to people, and I think that this topic is such a big one because I'm a people pleaser, and I'm sure that there's other people out there who are a people pleaser also. And so it's like, when you're a people pleaser, you basically just cater to whatever everybody else wants. Oh, this person has a problem. Okay, well, I need to solve it for them. I need to help them get through this situation. Or, oh, this person has questions, or, whatever it may be in your situation. It's like, the longest time I kind of just accepted everything, Okay, this person asks me to be there for them, but then when I need them, they're not there for me. So what is that? And then I would just say, well, that person's busy, they have a lot going on, they don't really. But then what I found out that I was doing, that I kind of, after reevaluating things, I noticed that I was just doing that because, whether it was a friendship or if I just knew somebody, it was just like, okay, well, I care about this person, and I care very deeply when I'm in, friendships and things like that. And so it's like, it's really hard for me when I see that there's such a huge shift in the support I get from people, you know what I mean? And I think that I've been able to really feel like my energy is completely different after setting boundaries, after, walking away from situations and people who just weren't good for my mental health. And I think that I knew that a while ago, I knew, okay, I have to set some sort of boundary from this person or from this situation. And I think that the more that I grew and the more that I learned about my mental health and my, kind of just myself as a person, and the more that I grew, I was able to be like, I don't like this specific pattern. I don't like this, how I feel when whatever, and so then I was able to go on and be like, okay, well, I may want to have a connection with someone, or I may want to still be a part of whatever situation it is, whether you're at a school that what, I don't know, whatever the boundary is for you. It's like, I was just constantly telling myself, I don't feel as though this situation or this person is right for me, right? But I still like this person. I still like this person as a friend, or I still like this person in terms of just just generally speaking. And I think that after going to therapy, and going to therapy on a consistent basis, my therapist had said to me, you should really think about why you want specific people, or why you want to stay in a specific situation. What are you getting out of it? And I didn't know it at the time, but I think that I was able to then say, yeah, why do I want that? And if for any of you out there, whether it's a friendship or it's a relationship or it's a family member or it's if it's your job, that's also a boundary that people forget to set, is I don't want to work on the weekends. Hey, I just wanted to quickly interrupt the podcast just to mention I do have a YouTube channel. It is at Gabby Mendonca, MENDONCA on YouTube. I also have Instagram at mindful.minute_. Be sure to follow me over on social media. I have so many things that I love to do and so much content that I'm trying to put out. So yeah, give me a follow and send me a message. I'll definitely message you back. Back to the podcast. If you're working 5 days a week, you should be able to set a boundary and say no, I'm not doing this weekend. it's just not happening. Because I think that then it's also letting the people that you're working with know, like, okay, that is this specific person's boundary. On the weekends, they want to be able to spend time with their family, spend time with their friends, spend time, just relaxing and not focusing on job related things. It could also be something with school. During the pandemic, when we transitioned to virtual, I struggled even more with my mental health, and I would have to email professors and just say, like, today's not the day for me to be able to really feel like I can function in a classroom at the moment, or just be on Zoom for an hour, however long it was. And so that also was a boundary that I set, and they were understanding. Some of them were very understanding about it. But I think in any situation or relationship that you're in, remembering that, like, taking care of yourself and being there for yourself is the number one priority. And I think that even with family members, that's a boundary too. If someone only reaches out to you because they need something, or they just feel like, that's all that you're useful for them, it's like, no, shut that down right away, and just be like, listen, I love you, I care about you, and I'm here for you if you ever really do need me, but I just can't be the person that you come to just when you need something. I think that I've seen a lot of that with just people in my life, and I know that it's hard, because it's like, you love people, and if you're like me and you just love and you care very deeply about people and things like that, it's like, it can be really difficult to just set that boundary with specific people in your life. But knowing when to walk away, and knowing when to kind of like put your foot down and say, I'm not going to tolerate this situation, or how you kind of treat me, whatever it is, for anybody, it's like, you need to also tell yourself, and I know that this is going to probably take some time depending on where you are on your self-care journey, and just kind of how you are dealing with situations in your life, but also just knowing that, like, it's a difficult thing. It's really hard to set those boundaries. It's really hard to say no to people sometimes, because it's like, okay, do I genuinely feel like this is something I want to do, or am I just doing this because this person asks me, and this person is my friend, this person's my boyfriend, or my girlfriend, or my wife, or my husband, or my mom, or whoever it is, it's like, am I just doing it because I feel obligated, and I feel like I have to kind of fit that quota for them, you know what I mean? And so I even learned it in school. I think, like I said, as I was kind of starting my self-care journey and figuring out my mental health, I learned in school. So my freshman year of college, I was very active on campus. I would go to all the events. I would perform at the events because they would ask me to sing. And, I was like, okay, it's fine. I'm cool with that. But then it became a problem for me when I just started noticing that, I wasn't getting accommodated in school, and I wasn't getting the help that I really needed from specific people. There were people who were very, very helpful, who I'm very grateful for, and who I love and respect, but also from the people that I was really needing the help from, I wasn't getting it. And so it wasn't like a, I'll do this, you gotta do something for me type of situation, but it was definitely like, I'm here, I'm performing for you, I'm, showing up to every single event that you kind of asked me to come to, and I'm doing everything that you've asked of me, but why is it so hard for me to get accommodations and for me to get the things that I need in order for me to succeed in class, And so on top of that, I was doing a lot of stuff outside of college. I was in the choir at my church, and I was just acting and all these things. I mean, the acting was through my school, but it was also another extracurricular activity that I was taking part in that I chose. And so I think during my sophomore year, that's when I was like, they would be like, oh, like, can you perform at this event? Or, you know, are you free this day to join this group conversation? And it was like, yeah, I want to be a part of those things, because if you know me and you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, or, you know, if you've been subscribed to this podcast for when it started, it's like, as a blind person, not only just as a blind person, but just genuinely speaking, I'm very passionate about disability, you know, awareness and advocacy and inclusion and diversity and equity and all those amazing things. And so when they would ask me to be part of conversations surrounding those things, I was like, of course, because they don't, you know, people don't know how to make their company or their organization or, you know, their classrooms more accessible and accommodating. And so if I could use my voice amongst that group of students or that group of people to just be like, this is what I have noticed just from going to school here or just from interacting with people, you know, that's one of the biggest things. It's like, I really do aspire to be a motivational speaker. And so having conversations with people and networking and really sharing my story and my ideas, it's like, I would obviously go to those things because I was like, okay, of course, not a problem. But it just became too much, you know. I did an amazing, I will say, I pride myself on this. I did an amazing speech at the event that I was at, which was honestly, like, that type of stuff was amazing because I sang and I got to do my kind of jumpstart the career of motivational speaking. And I really did enjoy the energy and the vibe and just, like, people that I was with at that time. So, like, that wasn't an issue for me, but it was really just the matter of, like, me not setting a boundary to say, no, I can't sing at this event, or no, I'm sorry, I can't go to that group session because, you know, and you don't always have to give people an explanation. You don't owe people an explanation. And knowing that I don't owe people an explanation, I think that was the biggest thing that took me a while to learn, because one of my best friends, like, she's always telling me, she's like, you don't owe anybody an explanation. You don't need to validate why you're not doing something or why you chose to, you know, walk away from a person or a situation. You don't need to validate that because honestly, that person, if that person or that situation just wasn't right for you, then it's like, you don't need to validate why you chose to walk away from it, you know? So I'm still learning and I'm still growing as a person and just growing just in general, you know? But I think learning what my boundaries are, and I definitely do have boundaries, is just important. I think also just knowing my limit, setting a limit on when I interact with people, or, you know, just simple things like that too is just important. Like, for instance, when I was in college or just in school in general, I would come home and, like, my mom would, you know, we would talk for a little bit, but also I was just always tired just from doing everything that I was doing, and so I just want to take a nap. And so I would come home and I'd chat with her for a couple minutes, and then I'd just go and, like, take a shower and, like, take a nap and just kind of, like, be in my room. And I'm still kind of like that, but I'm learning that, you know, I have my limit on when I interact with people, because sometimes after a long day, all I ever want is to be in my room and to just, like, put my lo-fi music on and to just kind of, you know, have that time for myself. But I think that my mom has learned that that is just what I do. And I think that she's still learning about my self-care and my mental health. And I'm not very open with a lot of people about my mental health because I do have anxiety, and it's not fun, you know? Like, it's not a fun thing to have. I get really bad panic attacks, which I will do an episode on at some point to talk about my panic attacks and how I kind of manage my anxiety and things like that, because I think it's important. But just also know, like, when I do record that and put that up, some things may work for you if you have anxiety or if you get panic attacks, but also some things might not, because these are just, the things that I've found that are kind of my coping strategies. But I say all of this to say that taking the time and setting boundaries and limits for yourself and how you kind of choose to dedicate your time and your energy and your space, that's important. And I think that this is a conversation that more people need to have about boundaries and limits and just kind of how we utilize our energy and time. I think that I also have learned that over the past couple days especially, I've been interacting with a lot of friends and meeting a lot of people virtually, just like through friends. And I think that I've also learned that my social battery can only go for so long, until I just need to turn the computer off and just, do my own thing. So yeah, it's important. And I think that this is just a big topic that I will probably continue to just briefly drop in future episodes and conversations. But, just sending you so much love and positivity, and just also remind yourself that, like, you're doing everything that you can, and that you don't need to validate or try to give anybody an explanation for anything, because you're important, and prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It's just necessary, And I just want to say, like, please protect your peace, protect your energy, protect your space. All of those things are so, so important, because the minute that somebody interrupts that, makes you feel like your energy is not being used the right way, or destroys your peace, or your space and time, it's like, it's hard to kind of get back on the right track to really being the person that you are again. I've had situations where I have had my energy and space and time kind of changed a little bit just because of people and situations, and just not even those things either, but just kind of how I chose to utilize that stuff. And just knowing that it's important to protect your space and time and energy, it's really, really necessary. And so yeah, so I really thank you guys for supporting me and for listening to my podcast. Be sure to follow at mindful.minute_ on Instagram. If you want to be featured here on my podcast in the future and any future upcoming episodes, be sure to reach out to me on Instagram, because I just love to have conversations with anybody, and kind of get to connect. I'll be doing a live most likely in April, so that's another reason. Just head on over to Instagram and check me out over there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week.